A tutorial or sort of name some tips and tricks on how to get better at sniping moving targets in Battlefield 5, because it's definitely what makes the sniping super hard in this game. The fact that it uses the projectile, so the bullet takes time to get there, so the farther away they are, obviously you have to lead the shot farther. Most of your shots in this game, will be on just stationary or prone targets, but obviously it's way better if you can get good at shooting moving ones. And I'm not the best by no means at shooting moving targets in this game. Those ones in the beginning are just highlights. If you're playing on console, your shots are just not going to look that good or that fast. It's a lot easier to get moving targets on PC. You can do it faster, the tracking is easier to be more accurate. The higher frames per second you get makes it a lot easier too. So just on console it's going to be a lot harder. Keep that in mind. First little tip that I would give is when you join a match, don't just join. Always go in and list the servers, and then you want to sort by ping like this. You always want to play on the lowest ping you can get. You might not be able to get as low as ping as mine. I'm pretty lucky right now. I'm right on the west coast where the servers are. Closer you are to the servers, the lower your ping will be, but you want the lowest possible. If you want to learn why, just jump into like a 200 ping game. You'll see you'll aim right at their head, your shots won't hit, and then you'll hit these shots where you're aiming way off. It's totally unplayable. Next real tips I would give is stick with the same sensitivity. Don't go switching your sensitivity all over the place. Just stick with one sensitivity and just use that one. The only time you should be changing your sense is if you're say you're having little problems and you want to try out a new one for a while to see if it benefits you. But you have to try out a new one for at least 2 weeks. If you're doing that, don't just be switching it all over. And then one thing that's going to help you a lot, which I don't really do too much, most people probably aren't going to do this too much, it gets kind of boring, but if you just play with one sniper and don't use any other guns, you're going to get way better at hitting moving targets, because you're just going to get the different snipers all have different bullet velocities, and then some of them have the same velocities, but those guns, the scopes look different, they have a bit different zooms, they feel different. So if you just stick with one gun, you're going to learn how far in front of them at different distances and different speeds the enemy's moving to aim in front of them and lead those shots. Like I use the Krag Jorgensen the most, and I just hit way more moving targets with that gun than any of the others. And actually just increase the bullet velocity of the Ross and the Arasaka. They're faster than both the Car and the Krag right now, and I've been trying to use the Ross, but I honestly hit less moving targets. I'm just not used to how far ahead of them to lead them with that, so even though it should be easier. And by the way, with patch 6.2 that's coming up, they're going to increase the Car and the Krag's bullet velocity up to 900. I think it's at 700 now, so you're gonna have to learn how far to lead these shots all over again, but you won't have to aim as far in front. It should be easier in the long run, hopefully. One thing you can do is practice skeet shooting, and you can put 2 targets at once if you want. It doesn't translate that well to in-game because the targets just move really slow. They don't really move like an enemy, but so you can change the distance from close, medium, and far. And you can see with the close ones, you kind of have to aim like right at the front tip of the thing, the birdie thing or whatever it's called, and then the farther away they get, the more you have to lead in front of it. But the main thing that you have to do really to get good at this is just play the game a lot. That's really all there is to it. Just the more time you put in, the better you get at it, and you play with one gun, you'll learn it a lot quicker. If enemies aren't moving in a predictable path, like if they're moving randomly, you're probably not going to get them in the head, unless it's lucky, right? Because they have to be either, even if they're strafing, they kind of have to be moving in a predictable way or running at the same speed. Even if they're running at the same direction, but they're going up and out rocks like on Komatic, it's really hard. One thing that can make it easy though, especially with console, is if instead of tracking the target, is if you leave your reticle way in front of the enemy where they're moving, and then wait for the enemy to get the right distance from your reticle and pull the trigger. Sometimes this can be a lot easier, especially on console. I found one thing that kind of helped me a little bit is when you learn a certain gun, you learn how long the bullet takes to get there. You can really tell by the sound from the time between the firing sound when the bullet goes off and the time when you get that kill marker sound and the skull comes up. Sometimes it can kind of help to imagine that sound difference at how far away the enemy is, and then you can kind of imagine how far in front of the enemy you have to lead the shot. Sometimes that can kind of help me. It might help you out. And when enemies are strafing, if they do it predictably, you can kind of just leave your reticle in the same spot, stand still, and then just kind of wait for them to move to one side and kind of shoot right when you get that timing right. Wait for them to come back. It's one thing you can practice. But yeah, the main thing is you just have to play the game a lot, practice. Hopefully with this new update, the crag in the car, I don't know, it seems kind of weird because now we have to relearn the bullet velocity all over again, but it will be a lot faster, maybe kind of OP. Hopefully that'll be good in the long run.